Are you truly seeing, or just seeing, your own story? When we hear the phrase, see things as they are, our mind immediately commands, pay more attention, look more carefully. It sounds reasonable, but this is a subtle trick. You can stare at something for hours, analyzing every detail, counting every line, and in the end, remain completely blind to it. Because the problem isn't a lack of attention. The problem is that attention itself is already colored. You aren't just looking, you are reacting, you are evaluating, comparing, judging. This is beautiful. That reminds me of the moment you do that, you've stopped seeing what's there. You start seeing your relationship to it. You're seeing the story you tell yourself about it. Imagine you are looking at a flower. You observe the petals, the colors, the light, and you think, I am truly seeing this flower. But notice the stream of thoughts, so beautiful. Like my grandmother's roses. I have to take a picture for social media. I wish it wouldn't wilt so fast. Not one of those thoughts is the flower. They're your reactions, and each reaction places a filter, a veil, between you and reality. This is what the Buddha called paññā, perception. The mental function that labels and interprets. We need it to survive. But the tragedy is we mistake the map for the territory. We see the label, flower, and think we've seen something real. But flower is just a concept. What is actually there is more fluid, more immediate, and more alive than any concept could ever capture. The three veils that obscure reality. So, what does seeing things as they are, in Buddhism, called yatābhūta ñāṇa dassana, knowledge and vision of things as they actually are, truly mean? It is a seeing that penetrates through the three primary filters of the mind. 1. Seeing without the lens of like and dislike. Most of the time, we don't truly see a person. We see person I like, person I can use, or person to avoid. We see the world through the lens of what can this do for me? Seeing without this filter of craving and aversion is a revolution in perception. 2. Seeing without being trapped by concept. The Buddha did not reject concepts. He said, I use the language of the world without being bound by it. The problem isn't using the word, table, or self. The problem is believing that these words point to something solid, unchanging, and ultimately real. There's a beautiful passage where the nun Vajira says, just as with an assemblage of parts. The word chariot is used, so too. When the aggregates, form, feeling, perception, formations, consciousness, are present, there is the convention of a being. When you look at a chariot, you see wheels, an axle, a frame. You don't find some chariot essence existing separately. Chariot is just a convenient label. The self is the same. It is a useful noun, but not an entity. The danger isn't using the word I. The danger is grasping it tightly, believing there is a solid boss living eternally behind these eyes. 3. Seeing the three marks of existence. This isn't a philosophy to believe in. These are characteristics you can see as clearly as you see the color red. Impermanence, anicca. Unsatisfactoriness, dukkha. And not self, anatta. When the mind is quiet enough, you begin to see, not think, that everything is dissolving moment by moment. Not, things will die eventually. But, right now, in this breath, it is rising and passing. Nothing lasts long enough to be grasped. And there is no fixed I experiencing any of this. There is only experience happening by itself, with no separate experiencer standing behind it. Understanding is not seeing the taste of sweetness. This is the most crucial distinction. Understanding is knowing about. Seeing is knowing directly. You can read 100 books about the sweetness of sugar. You can write a doctoral thesis on the chemical structure of glucose. You are an expert on sugar. But until you place a single grain on your tongue, you know absolutely nothing about sweetness. The seeing the Buddha spoke of, paññā wisdom, is precisely this direct tasting. You cannot think your way to sweetness. You also cannot think your way to impermanence. You must taste it. You cannot think your way to knowing fire is hot. You touch it. That knowing is immediate, direct, undeniable. When this wisdom, paññā, arises, you aren't thinking, this is impermanent. You are seeing impermanence right now. As immediately as seeing color. You aren't thinking, there is no self. You are looking for the self and are unable to find it. That is when transformation happens. Why? Seeing is more important than doing. But, you might ask, isn't Buddhism about action, about compassion, about doing the right thing? Action is extremely important, but action alone does not address the root of suffering. You can do all the right things and still be miserable to your very core. You can help people, be kind, follow every precept, while still being burned inside by craving, still imprisoned in the jail of me and mine. Take the example of loneliness. We try to make calls, socialize, make an effort to connect. Sometimes it helps, but often, even in the middle of a loud party, the loneliness remains untouched. Why? Because its root is not the absence of others. The root is a false seeing of oneself. If you believe you are a separate island, an isolated self, then no crowd can ever fill that abyss. But if you see clearly, see that loneliness is just a sensation, a cloud passing by, that it rises and ceases, that it is not you, then suddenly, loneliness loses its power to grip you. You didn't do anything, you simply saw through the illusion. Doing operates on the surface. Seeing goes straight to the root. Why? Seeing is more important than thinking. So I need to think more carefully. Analyze things? That's not it either. Most thinking does not lead to seeing. Most thinking reinforces separation. When you think about something, you create distance between you, the observer, and it, the observed. But with inner experience, like fear, anger, that distance is false. There is no separate you observing fear. There is just fear arising. And the sense of an observer is itself just part of the fear. Thinking about fear doesn't dissolve it. It strengthens the construct of I am afraid. Seeing, on the other hand, is direct. It's not thinking. It is the immediate recognition, right before thought can slap on a label. The direct path to seeing. So how do we develop this seeing? This is why in the Eightfold Path, right view, samma ditthi, comes first. Everything else, action, speech, effort, depends on it. Without clear seeing, all your actions are based on confusion. And the method, the direct path, ekayano mago, the Buddha pointed to, is the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana. This isn't a dry analytical exercise. It is a courageous journey of discovery into your own reality. Contemplation of the body. You observe the breath. You realize this breath is not my breath. It's just a natural process. This body is not me. It's a collection of changing elements. The identification with the body begins to loosen. Contemplation of feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Normally, we react instantly, grasp the pleasant, push away the unpleasant. Here, you just observe. You see them arise, stay for a moment, and pass. They are not yours. They are just visitors, coming and going. Contemplation of mind. You observe the mind state itself. Greed is present, note it. Anger is present, note it. The mind is like the weather, always changing. There is no fixed owner of these states. Contemplation of phenomena. You see the patterns. You see hindrances, like desire, aversion, arise. And you see the three marks, impermanence. Not self, not as ideas, but as the very texture of all experience. Crucially, this isn't just analysis. It requires samatha, calm, and vipassana, insight, together. They are the two wings of a single bird. Calm without insight is blissful ignorance. Insight without calm is agitation. When seeing matures, the end of the war. What happens when you truly see? When the three marks become undeniable. When every sensation, every thought, rises and passes right before your eyes. When you make the effort to find the self that is observing, and you cannot find it. You realize the I is just a construct, built moment by moment. This is when the refrain repeated in the suttas comes to life. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. You apply this to everything, this body, this feeling, this thought, even this consciousness. When that seeing becomes direct, not something you're telling yourself, but something you experience, the entire structure of me and mine begins to dissolve. Not because you destroyed it, but because you saw through it and realized it was never really there to begin with. This is the heart of liberation. When you see impermanence clearly enough, you automatically stop trying to hold on. Not because you're forcing detachment, but because you realize there was nothing to hold onto in the first place. When you see not self clearly enough, worrying about me becomes absurd. It's like worrying about a character in a dream after you have woken up. The thing you were afraid for isn't there. Suffering, dukkha, is tension, resistance, the friction of wanting things to be different. It is the incessant inner war. When you see, that war ends. This is nibbana, nirvana, not a paradise somewhere else, but the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion right here, right now. You don't become a special, superhuman person. You simply stop fighting reality. Compassion arises naturally when you see clearly that the boundary between me and you is an illusion. You cannot help but love when you see all beings trapped in the same confusion, suffering from the same ignorance. Compassion is no longer an obligation. It is recognition. When the inner resistance stops, the only thing that remains is this present moment, whole, complete, not needing to be different. And in that, there is ultimate peace, a freedom independent of any condition. The entire problem dissolves, not because you solved it, but because you saw it was never real.